Yes, so
Why did she first request? It was at my request because I said that I needed a fresh credit for my science class.
There's no denying at this point that Heidi's murder was premeditated. More disturbingly, it seems that Michael mapped out every single detail and accounted for almost all possible factors before executing his plan. A thorough search of Michael's backpack yielded a secret compartment that he made by cutting a slit in the inner lining and attaching Velcro along the edges of it so that it could be secured shut. He'd used this compartment to store the murder weapon, meaning Michael had even planned for the possibility of his backpack being searched.
Now, you and him are already in the store. Yes, yes. Did he go into the store first? Yes. Did you follow him? Yes, I did. Did you close the store door?
just go onto the floor.
Now,
Clean it
what
up.
transpired next?
Big bean, now yes, so
I was talking to him and I told him, all right, now, I have to put my hand over your mouth. Okay? And so I did. And I looked at his neck up. Now, was he facing you or was he away from you? Did you put your hand over his mouth? Yes, I did. And which hand did you use to put over his mouth? Now, that's once you did that, what happened next? Before I put my hand over his mouth, I put my hand so that already out. Now, where had you kept this blade? I kept it in my jacket pocket. And what color jacket do you have on? Now, is this the same clothing that you're wearing? Yes.
The detective is asking Michael a lot of control questions, meaning questions he already knows the answer to, in order to see if Michael is being truthful with them. He's also asking him questions to see if they corroborate with the evidence they have already ascertained.
And what did you do next? I took the knife out, and I proceeded to slit his throat. Now, you remember in which direction you slit his throat, left or right?
Michael is able to recall the details of the murder extremely well, even noting the direction in which he slit his friend's throat. This is significant because it indicates that Michael didn't dissociate at all during the act. Some offenders black out while committing a particularly heinous crime due to the extreme stress of the situation. Michael, however, was keenly aware of exactly what he was doing, from beginning to end. This idea is especially haunting when you learn exactly what Michael did to his young schoolmate. An autopsy of the victim's body concluded that in addition to his throat being slit, Jaime had been stabbed in the neck over 40 times. It's gut-wrenching to think that Michael, a 14-year-old child, was in complete control the entire time, savoring every single jab, slice, and cut.
Did Jamie say or do anything that you had a struggle? Yes, he did. He turned around after I did that and asked me not to kill him. So I told him, okay, I'm not going to cooperate. Okay, it was a lie. Right? And so I realized that saw something, so I lumped it. Yes. And then I turned around again and proceeded to stab him. And where did you stab? I'm not positively sure, but I'm guessing around the jugular vein right around here. Okay. Did you stab him anywhere else on his body? Just basically the back of the neck off a little bit. And once in the temple and the and that would be on the left side of his face and the side of his face.
Michael is speaking very matter-of-fact and openly. He's likely excited to show the detective how clever he was. This may have overshadowed any thoughts of self-preservation, as he readily admitted to killing Jaime. He may be either unaware of or unconcerned about the legal consequences for his actions. In addition, his young age may have played a role in his readiness to confess. The prefrontal cortex does not fully develop until around the age of 25. Michael may still be feeling amped up and powerful after the murder, and is acting on that emotion which may make him want to brag about what he did, rather than consider the fallout for his confession.
Now, after you did that, what happened? I took my gloves off and I flushed them down the toilet. Okay, I left and I went to go clean myself off. People were playing, and so I left that bathroom and went to the other one. I was stretching. Okay, let me stop you here. After you stabbed
Pintang so far.
Jamie
Gas
crawled to the commode or to the toilet? No, he did not. He was already positioned. He was down. I put his head under there to stop him from gasping for air. Okay, so we're closing up. Oh, I see. Okay, now. Okay, so you stop making noise. Okay. Now,
Mama Gesso,
how do you know he was dead?
so the stomach.
I made sure by taking my knife and poking him in the face. And I checked his eyes also. Okay. Now, when he fell, was he on his front?
What is this
Or
nonsense?
was he on his side or on his back? You remember? He was on his front. Okay. Things that sound kind of bad. Yeah, so blood coming from his mouth to the right of the toilet. And I guess there might have been blood in the toilet. Oh, yeah, he got on both. What did you do with I put the knife, the knife was broken because of the stab wounds, and I couldn't close it back, so I closed it as much as I could and I put it in my jacket pocket. Okay. I proceeded to go to the sink and I wiped some of the blood off the jacket, took the jacket off, nothing happened.
When Michael is told to slow down here, he seems to be getting carried away as he's telling his story. Overall, both his affect and tone appear markedly blunted throughout. While his speech speeds up either from anxiety or excitement, there's no major change as he talks about going to get the gloves versus viciously stabbing his friend, or even realizing he's dead.
It was at my request because I said that even if I extra credit for my science class. I took the knife out and I proceeded to slit his throat. I did not take the jacket off at that point. I just waited for the phone. Okay. I proceeded to go downstairs to the bathroom on the first floor. I then wiped myself off with all the stuff on my face and the stuff on my jacket. Then took the jacket off and put it in my pocket. Now you said that you had washed some gloves down the front.
Some puppy
Two gloves. How many pair of gloves did you have? I had two pair. Where did you keep the other pair of gloves? In the jacket pocket where I kept the knife. Alright.
about me anymore.
Now before you gloved up
No one
this
does.
morning in the bathroom, did you remove any of your jewelry? I removed my rings because they would have cut through the latex glove. Okay. Did anything unusual, or did you notice anything unusual when you put your hand in your jacket pocket after the incident? Yes, one of my rings was missing. And which ring was that? It was the ring on my right ring finger. So, what did you do? I went back upstairs to find the ring. There was a witness there saying that someone was in that stall.
The way Michael refers to a witness is an indication that he may have strategically and specifically planned the entire murder, considering the possibility of witnesses being present or interfering in some way. He's speaking as if he's a law enforcement official describing or examining this case, rather than the perpetrator describing his own acts.
I went to go look, having known what was there. And I saw my ring, he picked it up, and then left. Had you go out there and actually check to see if Jamie was okay? It was strictly to check on your ring. And why did you want to recover your ring? Because I want to do it. Okay.
It's very interesting to note how much more Michael's ring meant to him than his dying friend. This detail speaks volumes about exactly how Michael's mind works. Namely, that he possesses a disturbing disregard for the lives of others.
Do people know that you wear that type? Yes. Yes, and many people know I wear these type of jewelry. Could someone have identified you because of the lost ring? Yes, they could have identified this ring definitely. Okay. When you went back upstairs to go back or into the bathroom to look for your ring, who is the individual that told you someone was in the store? I'm not sure of his name. Have you claimed to this Jamie? Yes, I did. How long have you had this plan? A little over a week. And is there any specific reason why you planned this? No, there's not.
Perhaps the most spine-chilling detail of all, Michael likely killed his friend purely for personal satisfaction. Michael, who had just celebrated his 14th birthday the previous day, had absolutely no reason to commit murder that morning. He simply decided that he wanted to. A situation such as this can reasonably be explained by a bout of severe psychosis. However, he doesn't present as a person who has psychosis, based on his behavior during the interrogation. Michael seems to be thinking clearly and logically. There are no indications that he is responding to internal stimuli, such as voices in his head or unseen figures. There's no evidence of paranoia or delusions. Therefore, there is no evidence of a thought disorder. Michael's heightened intelligence and composure, as well as his blatant lack of remorse, are reminiscent of someone with antisocial personality disorder. However, an ASPD diagnosis cannot be given to anyone under 18. We cannot conclude that Michael has ASPD or psychopathy, the term often used to describe the most severe type of antisocial personality, not only because we don't have enough information about Michael's symptoms and history, but also because Michael is only 14 years old and too young to be given such a diagnosis. At most, Michael's behaviors align with a diagnosis of conduct disorder, particularly since he has a history of taunting and physically assaulting peers, which you'll hear more about later. However, if we suspend the fact that he cannot be diagnosed, his matter-of-fact demeanor could be due to the presence of psychopathy, as he has a lack of reciprocal emotion. A psychopath can be asked about a person they murdered and show no emotional response or reaction when they are shown pictures of the person or when they are told that the person likely suffered. In other words, they don't respond with an emotion that matches the circumstance.
Why did you choose Jamie, your friend? He was the easiest out of anybody because he would have followed me because we're such good friends. And I knew he would have followed me and done what I would have said. Now, I asked you about an individual named Andre Martin. You know Andre is? How old is Andre? He is 13. What grade is Andre? He's in 8th grade. Is he a friend of yours? Yes, he is. Is he in any of your classes? No, he's not. How many know that? I have known him since about 4th or 5th grade. And I know you told me earlier that usually you and Andre, he and Jamie hang out. Yes, that's correct. Calling your attention to yesterday, Monday, your birthday. Did there come a time when you approached Andre with the same type of ruse? Yes, there was. Where me, Andre, and myself were in the bathroom. Which bathroom? We were in the bathroom, we were in the other bathroom, and the victim was coming out.
Referring to Honey as the victim may be evidence of how detached Michael feels from someone who is supposedly his friend. He may be unable to or have difficulties with forming real emotional attachments to other people. This phrasing could be another indication of psychopathy, as it shows Michael has a lack of prosocial emotions. Empathy and emotional attachment are considered prosocial emotions, which are things psychopaths struggle with feeling. This is why they often present as emotionally detached, distant, and indifferent, because they're apathetic to society and to people and situations in general. The fact that psychopaths are emotionally detached helps them to stay calm in situations that would cause the average person to feel afraid or nervous, such as in an interrogation or the act of committing murder.
What were your intentions yesterday? I think yesterday were to kill Andre. The same way that I killed Jamie today, except for the fact that I was going to stab him in the back and stab here. And that hurt me. What was this you were going to do? I was going to do this to Andre.
Michael seems almost enthusiastic about the opportunity to disclose every meticulously planned detail of how he was going to kill both of his friends. The animated way in which he illustrates his master plan to the detective indicates that he's relishing the opportunity to divulge his wicked scheme, and even enjoying the attention he's receiving. Whatever his motivation, Michael seems extremely invested in this experience of being involved in a real criminal proceeding. These are several more signs of possible antisocial personality disorder. From a legal perspective, his intention to cruelly execute multiple people could be used as evidence that Michael is essentially a serial killer in the making. The prosecution could argue that a life sentence is necessary in order to protect potential victims of a future serial killer.
Earlier you told me that you had a belt. You were going to strangle someone. Yes, I was going to strangle him first, and then after he was dead, I was going to make sure my stomach him. Okay, and this was Andre. Now, did you lure him into the bathroom yesterday? Into the bathroom, yes, not the stall. Okay, and how did you accomplish it? The bathroom, yes. We were late to class. I told them both that we were going to be late to class. And so we snuck upstairs after the big party. And we got to the bathroom, and I was trying to convince Andre to go to the stall. And what? How are you going to do that? I told him that I had something to show him. Okay. Yes. And what was his response to that? His response, he didn't want to do it, so he said no. He's like, why can't Jamie go first? My response then was that he's going to go next. Okay. Now, did Jamie agree? Did Jamie say, I'll come in, I'll look, and he did? Okay. And what did you say at that? I said, no, he's going to go first. Okay. And any particular reason why? I wanted to get Andre to do it first before I came. Alright. Now, when that did not happen yesterday, what did you end up telling Andre and Jamie?
Michael is taking up a lot of space on the table with his arms and hands. This could be indicative of confidence and feeling in control of the conversation, or at the very least, feeling at an equal level as the detective.
I said, alright, and I said, you can't get past cooperate tomorrow, then like, yeah, okay, we'll cooperate tomorrow. Alright.
Michael's word choice here says a lot about his relationship with his friends at school. When Andre refuses to go into the stall with him the day prior, Michael asks his friends if, in his own words, they'll cooperate with him the next day instead, to which they both agree. The way he speaks to his friends indicates that Michael was likely the authority figure in his friend group, and that his friends regularly felt like they had to obey him. That might explain why he thought he could easily lure them both to a horrific fate. Sadly, Michael was right about Jaime, but clearly underestimated Andre.
Today, before this happened to Jim, what were your intentions going to be if Andre should have shown up? I would have talked him into coming to the bathroom and coming into the stall. And I would have proceeded to slit his throat and stab him continuously until he died in that area. Yes. And then I would have left him there. Yes. And then I went downstairs and talked Jamie into coming upstairs, went him into the other bathroom, and slit his throat and stab him in the back. Okay. Now, Mike, where did you get this knife from? I have a knife collection. I've been collecting knives, and as I said, my dad has a store. And so he's I asked him for some knives. This was before I was going to do this. Yes. And I asked him for some knives. He's like, alright, you can take them. Because I wanted to switch it, whatever. And I took them. I think they call them grabbing knives.
Michael had exhibited several warning signs of concerning behavior prior to the murder, most of which detectives won't discover until they speak with more of Michael's schoolmates over the next few days. Students reported that Michael demonstrated an intense interest in all things gore and death. Even the screensaver on his computer at school featured a scary creature covered in blood, which had caught the attention of other classmates. Michael also had a history of teasing and physically assaulting his peers. He'd been reprimanded in the past for mocking and hitting a couple of female classmates. He was also known to poke and chase other kids with a screwdriver that he kept in his backpack.
Let me ask you this. Is there any particular reason why you did this to Jamie? No, there's not. Did he offend you in any way? No, he did not. Did he harm you in any way? No. Mike, you know the difference between right and wrong, correct? Isn't it? Do you think what you did is right or wrong? No, I don't. Well, what don't you think? I think it is neither right, but I don't think it was wrong. Do you know what you did is wrong? Yes, I do.
The fact that Michael is saying that he doesn't think what he did was right or wrong shows us that he must have come up with his own explanation or justification for what he did. And the detective probed further. We may have gotten more information about why Michael believes that killing Jaime wasn't necessarily wrong. This could have possibly revealed some delusional thinking. Michael said himself that Jaime didn't do anything to him, so for Michael to believe that what he did wasn't wrong means that he likely has some type of unconventional belief about taking someone else's life.
Is this the first time that you have been involved in something like this, Michael? Yes, it is. Are you sorry that this happened today? And this was an unprovoked attack on Jamie? Yes, it was. Sir, has everything you told me been true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Yes, it has. Have I forced you to give this statement, sir? Have I treated you gentlemanly? Yes, you have. Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Following his interrogation, Michael was transported to the Juvenile Assessment Center. Michael stood trial 4 years later, pleading not guilty by reason of insanity. At his trial, a particularly startling piece of evidence was brought forth. A notebook of Michael's that contained information about famous serial killers. A list of people he planned to kill, including his older sister, and a mission statement that declared his need to cleanse the planet by murdering people. Needless to say, the jury took no pity on him. On September 24, 2008, Michael Hernandez was found guilty of the first-degree murder of Jaime Goff and the attempted first-degree murder of Andre Martin. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 30 years for the attempted murder charge. 8 years later, in an unforeseen turn of events, a Supreme Court ruling made it unlawful to automatically sentence a minor to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Michael appealed and was retried in 2016. He was again sentenced to life in prison and returned to the Columbia Correctional Institute to serve the remainder of his sentence. However, Michael wouldn't remain in prison very long. On April 29, 2021, Michael suddenly collapsed and shortly thereafter was pronounced dead. His cause of death was noted as cardiac dysrhythmia, or an irregular heartbeat, in connection with morbid obesity. Michael died at the age of 31 after having spent a total of 13 years in prison. When a young woman went missing while out for a morning jog, her case made When a young woman went missing while out for a morning jog, her case made international headlines and quickly became known as Salt Lake City's most high-profile disappearance. Still, no one could have imagined the series of baffling lies that were discovered during the search for her, exposing years of secrets and a dark double life. On the morning of July 19, 2004, 28-year-old Mark Hacking woke up to find that his wife, Lori Soares Hacking, had already gone to work at Wells Fargo, where she was a stockbroker's assistant. Lori had planned to wake up around 5 a.m. that morning and head out for a run, as she often did in the Memory Grove area of Salt Lake City, Utah. She was then going to return home and get ready for the day, and Mark was going to drive her to work at 7 a.m. However, when Mark woke at 8 after accidentally sleeping in, he just assumed Lori had come home and driven herself to work without waking him. This suspicion was confirmed when he noted that her vehicle was gone. Not thinking much of it, Mark continued with his morning like usual. That is, until around 10, when Mark called her work and he realized she had never arrived. It was only then that he noticed the clothes Lori had laid out to wear to work were still at home. In fact, he was on the phone with Lori's co-worker when he made the discovery, saying, "Oh my heck, here's her clothes. She never came back from running." Thoroughly concerned, Mark then called 911 just after 10 a.m. The desk sergeant he spoke to told him that he had to wait 24 hours to report Lori as a missing person. Assuming there wouldn't be much help from the police, He then headed for Memory Grove and found Lori's car where it was still parked in the area she usually left it while running. But there was no sign of his wife anywhere nearby, and her car appeared to be undisturbed. Soon Lori's co-workers arrived to help in the search for her, and many of them had also called the police to report her missing. They were joined by both Mark and Lori's family members. Lori usually ran a set route, and her loved ones were already checking the trail she followed when the police arrived on the scene. They told officers that Lori always ran along the roadway when she was alone, and only veered off this path if she had a companion for safety. When officers interviewed Mark, they noted that he was very upset, and it was difficult for him to keep his composure long enough to speak with them. Still, he managed to tell them what had happened. Mark claimed that he'd already ran his wife's normal route to see if he could find any trace of her, which crossed a creek, and explained why his shoes were wet when police arrived. As he was sharing his story, Mark became so overwhelmed that he fell backward against the passenger side of Lori's car. Salt Lake City was already reeling from the kidnapping of 14-year-old Elizabeth Smart only 2 years earlier in 2002. With this distressing incident in mind, a thorough investigation was immediately launched to find Lori, despite Mark previously believing he had to wait 24 hours. K-9 units and helicopters flying low were deployed to help in the search, but over the next few hours, they came up empty-handed. Still, people began coming forward to share their experiences in Memory Grove, with a few different women recalling unsettling interactions with suspicious men in the past. Soon, a disturbing theory emerged that someone may have kidnapped Lori from the area while she was out running, similar to what had happened to Elizabeth Smart. Lori's disappearance was especially distressing because the couple was on the brink of all their dreams coming true. Her and Mark were high school sweethearts and had been married for 5 years. As Mark had just graduated with a master's in psychology from the University of Utah, the couple had plans to move soon to North Carolina, where Mark had been accepted into medical school to study oncology at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. His father was a pediatrician, and Mark was following in his footsteps, just as one of his brothers had. Lori had even resigned from her beloved job and put her plans for an MBA on hold until Mark finished medical school. Most of their apartment was packed up, and the couple had just celebrated their going-away party 3 days before her disappearance at a mountain cabin owned by Lori's boss. The couple had even more exciting news, as Lori was about 5 weeks pregnant, compounding the tragedy of her disappearance. According to friends and family, she was extremely excited about the upcoming move and the baby. By that afternoon, flyers were posted around the city in the hopes that someone had seen what happened to her. However, things became complicated when a neighbor of Lori and Mark's was interviewed. This neighbor noted that Lori's car was out in front of the apartment building at 7 a.m., and when she left her house again at 8:30, it was still there. These contrasting witness statements further complicated the investigation. How had she been out for a run and returned home, only to have her vehicle be found again at Memory Grove? With this mystery in mind, investigators turned to Mark to explain. But he couldn't clear up the confusion, as he was certain Lori's car was gone when he woke up. As with most cases, the spouse is the first suspect, but it was hard to understand why Mark would have any motive in Lori's disappearance. Some of Lori's co-workers were interviewed as they were close to the couple. One co-worker stated that she hadn't noticed any change in Lori's behavior recently, which was normally upbeat, and that her relationship with Mark seemed exceptionally happy, especially because he'd sent her flowers at work. Lori's mom confirmed the sentiment, saying that she had a great relationship with Mark and the two adored each other, with Lori calling Mark "my big old teddy bear." In fact, everyone who knew the couple believed that they were happily married and deeply in love. Still, Mark had done something a bit odd that morning before he realized Lori was missing. Between 9 and 10 a.m., he'd gone out and purchased a new mattress for their bedroom, presumably for their move. Strange, but it wasn't overly concerning for investigators. Later that afternoon, on the same day that Lori had gone missing, Mark was brought in for a quick interview. On the ride over to the police station, Mark made the comment that Lori is going to be so pissed at me. When asked what he meant, Mark elaborated, saying, "It If you guys ever find her, she will be so mad at me because I didn't go running with her. Once at the police station, he relayed his story once again to an officer.
What's been going on so far today? My wife got up at 5 this morning. And I stayed in bed. I woke up at 8 and she hadn't awakened me when she got home and showered and went to work at 7. At least I thought that's what had happened. When I woke up and she was gone, I just figured she hadn't awakened me, she saw me sleeping. And so I got ready, did some things. I played my Nintendo a bit, and we needed a new mattress. We decided to get one, so I went. And then we've been shopping around in different places, and I found one. What time is that? I left my place at about 9. What time did you get there? 9 something. I put on my bed, I was putting sheets on. Told my wife while I was putting sheets on. And someone else answered the phone. What time is this? About 10. Her wife's cell phone? No. Her phone? What did you pursue her? What was the reason for the call? Just said, okay. I asked to talk to my wife. Well, I don't remember the exact words. He said something along the lines of, is Lori okay? And I said, yeah, and I said, I don't know. And then he told me she hadn't come in. So I went looking for her. So what did you do? How did you know where to go look? Because she runs in the same place every day.
Initially, Mark had agreed to participate in a CBSA test, also known as computer voice stress analysis, which is a controversial technology that tries to measure deception through changes in frequency and stress when someone speaks.
Can you explain the test to you? You understand? You feel comfortable with that? And then you can pray with it. Yeah. What this is a true verification machine. And you've seen, have you ever had a lie detector test, the old-fashioned type? You've seen them on TV. They have like the box and have all the arms going around, papers all on, and you guys sit in the chair and he's all strapped up and all that stuff. And that was developed in the 1930s. And we're all new technologies that's a little more since then. But that's what this is. Okay? This is just minor form. It's basically saying you're taking this of your own free will. Nobody's forcing you or coercing you or anything of that nature.
I do feel coerced in the taking.
And how do you feel? Let me explain this to you. Nobody's making you take this test. If you don't want to, you can walk right out that door.
And what happens to me?
You walk out the door and take you back up to your car.
And if I refuse, of course that makes me look guilty.
It's not this one recorded. We trust the machine. The courts just don't. It just gives us something to verify the information we've got so far. And obviously, as you said, we got some concerns about this mattress thing. We interview people who have killed people all the time, and they don't tell us the truth. And that's what this machine's just for.
But at the same time, I've got these circumstances that look bad. So like, if I don't take this, then I'm just going to be drilled.
You have nothing to lose with this.
I don't think I want to take it. Investigators thought his behavior was a little curious and decided to take a closer look at the apartment where they lived. Police were dispatched to examine the dumpster in the parking lot outside. There, Mark was joined by one of his brothers, who asked why the police were there, and Mark replied, apparently they're nervous that I bought a new mattress, followed by, I just need to get away. Yet despite their suspicion of Mark, officers didn't find anything dumpster. While the search for Lori continued, Mark's behavior took another strange turn. Just several hours after Lori went missing, police were called again at 2 a.m. on July 20th to a commotion at a hotel about a half-mile from Mark and Lori's apartment. Mark had been staying the night instead of at the apartment. There, he was found running through the hotel completely naked, except for a pair of sandals. Hearing this, his brother Scott arrived at the hotel. There, he found an unexpected message written on Mark's PDA, a handheld computer, reading, "To everyone, from Mark. This is Justice. I'm so sorry." Following this incident, Mark's family made the decision to check him into a psychiatric unit to receive help. Later, an FBI profiler, Candace DeLong, commented on this incident saying, "He kept his shoes on, his sandals. That's not generally something we see in someone truly psychotic." This comment has led some to speculate that Mark may have been trying to play crazy, with the intention that he would be hospitalized, and there was a very good reason for him to attempt this. Mark had a secret. Actually, he had many secrets, and they were all about to be uncovered. Mark Hacking had been living a double life. His entire family knew him to be busy and studious, often leaving textbooks open and spread out around the couple's apartment. On more than one occasion, he even had Lori's mother help him to write term papers, all in preparation for his acceptance to medical school. But here's the thing. Despite an imminent move to North Carolina, Mark had never been accepted at the university there. In actuality, he had never even applied, or anywhere else. This was especially shocking for his family, because Mark had actually traveled across the country to attend fake interviews at multiple medical schools. But this lie was just the first of many. Years of intricately weaved deception slowly began to untangle. Never mind not getting into medical school, Mark had actually dropped out of school altogether, and never even graduated from the University of Utah. All the books he had strewn around in the apartment and the term papers he wrote were part of Mark's elaborate attempt to sell his lies. He would even leave the apartment and tell his friends, family, and Lori that he had classes to attend. So, if he wasn't in school like he claimed, where had Mark been spending all this time? Well, when he was meant to be studying for rigorous medical exams or in class, Mark was often seen hanging out at a store in his neighborhood, drinking soda, eating hot dogs, and smoking. He told the people that worked at the store that he was a therapist, and begged them to keep his smoking habit a secret from Lori, as they were part of the Church of Latter-day Saints and weren't supposed to smoke. These weren't his only lies. Mark had told Lori's mother that he worked at the Neuropsychiatric Institute at the University of Utah, where he ran therapy sessions. But in reality, he worked as a licensed healthcare assistant and hospital orderly who conducted group activities, not therapy. In an odd story, hospital officials say that at work Mark wore a shirt tag reading Franz, but claims it wasn't an officially issued name tag. He chose the name from a Saturday Night Live episode featuring a pair of narcissistic bodybuilders. His many lies rocked his and Lori's families, who had all believed that the couple was not only happy, but successful. His own father spoke to the press, as the case still had a chokehold on international news, saying, "We didn't see it coming. We got completely blindsided by it." People began to speculate that Mark had fabricated the elaborate lies out of a perceived pressure from his family. His father and brother were doctors, with another brother as an electrical engineer. Mark explained to his family that he'd only lied about his education, which he called misleading people, because it was a little lie that snowballed out of control. Still, he adamantly denied knowing anything about what happened to Lori. Believing him, Lori's family stood by Mark as the search for her continued. It was uncovered that the last time Lori was seen for sure was at a convenience store on Sunday evening, the day before she vanished. She and Mark were spotted on surveillance footage, and everything appeared to be fine. The interesting part was that Mark was seen again after 1 a.m. buying cigarettes. But this time, there was no sign of Lori. Mark had an explanation. Lori had gone to bed. Nothing sinister about that. But still, there was something that wasn't sitting quite right with investigators. The new mattress. As a fan of true crime, he probably thought that was particularly suspicious, and investigators agreed. They soon headed to the church Mark attended and examined the contents of the found something, an old, used mattress. Curiously, the top part of the mattress had been cut out and was missing. Mark once again had an explanation, though not for why he used the church dumpster instead of the one at his apartment to dispose of the old mattress. But he claimed that he and Lori had thrown out the old mattress because she had a heavy menstrual cycle and bled on it. Still, that answer didn't quite sit right with investigators, and soon the timeline Mark told about Lori's disappearance was falling apart. Police began to suspect that Lori never even made it out for her morning jog. Even without all of Mark's lies unraveling, the physical evidence wasn't matching Mark's story. Lori's car was closely examined, and it was uncovered that the seat and car mirrors had all been adjusted for someone far larger than Lori, who was about 5'3" and 115 pounds, meaning she wasn't the last person to drive the vehicle. And worst of all, blood was found in the back seat. It was described as a blood transfer stain, which happens when wet blood from one object touches another object. Adding to the growing evidence, investigators took a closer look at the apartment with Mark's permission. Lori's purse, keys, and wallet were found there, further indicating that she had never left to go for her run. As officers searched the bedroom, they uncovered spots of blood on the headboard and on the nightstand. Looking closer at the nightstand, one of the officers opened the drawer and found a sheathed knife. At this discovery, Mark, who was with them the entire time, chuckled nervously. He explained that he had the knife since he was a scout. The officer noticed what appeared to be a spot of blood on the blade and a fingerprint. After this discovery, police sought a warrant to conduct a more thorough search and asked Mark to leave the apartment. It was clear that Mark was a suspect in his wife's disappearance. But still, no one could have predicted that there were even more disturbing secrets yet to be revealed. Everything came crashing down on July 24th, 5 days after Lori vanished. When Mark's father and brothers confronted him about what happened to her, Lori's relatives soon spoke publicly, asking volunteers to give up the search for her because of the chilling story Mark admitted to his family. It's unclear why Mark decided to come clean at that point, but it's possible with his other lies already exposed, he knew he couldn't hold on to this one any longer. Mark explained that on the evening of July 18th, the couple argued after Lori confronted him about his double life, his many lies, and their impending move. You see, Lori's colleagues recalled that she'd been left in tears on Friday, July 16th, just 3 days before her disappearance, and the same day of their going-away party. They believed that she had contacted someone at the financial aid office at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, to make arrangements for Mark, where she was told by a school administrator that there was no record of Mark being enrolled there. The administrator even put Lori on hold and contacted the American Medical College Application Service, and confirmed to her that Mark hadn't even applied. Lori had been so upset by the news that she left work early. Still, she arrived at the going-away party with Mark as though nothing had happened. That's because Mark had lied to her once again. He told her that he'd spoken to the same administrator and there'd been a mistake with the incoming student list on the computer. None of that was true. Lori had even called the school back and left a voicemail, claiming that Mark had straightened everything out. Lori's voice message wouldn't be heard until Monday, and by then she was already missing. Still, her voice message aired her doubts. She said that she wanted the administrator to call her back and let her know that everything is okay, not that she doesn't trust her husband, but for her own peace of mind. The reason for Lori's skepticism may have been because this wasn't the first time she caught Mark in a lie. Lori had once confided in a friend all the way back in 2000 that Mark had lied to her about enrolling for one semester in college. Little did she know that was the tip of the proverbial lie iceberg. She must have suspected that Mark was lying once again, because she eventually did confront him. 2 different neighbors who lived near the couple came forward, with one saying that she heard loud screams around midnight on the 18th, coming from the apartment, and the other saying that they heard a male voice shouting, "This, it's all over, and that's it." Mark said that Lori eventually went to bed while he stayed up for about an hour playing video games. He then began to go through their packed belongings until he found his .22 rifle and went into the bedroom and shot Lori in the head while she slept. Systematically, Mark disposed of her body, the murder weapon, and the bloody mattress by depositing them in different dumpsters. When Mark was spotted on the convenience store surveillance footage at 1:30 a.m. without Lori, had he been out getting rid of the evidence of her murder, or was he getting ready to commit a sickening deed? In the video, Mark can be seen examining his hands, fingernails, and even checking his watch. Could he have been looking for traces of blood? The next day, he headed out to buy a new mattress, likely hoping that no one would even know the first one had been thrown away, before staging another intricate deception, this time Lori's supposed disappearance. Based on his actions and behaviors, Mark sounds like he suffered from narcissistic personality disorder. These individuals tend to present as charming and wonderful until you begin to pull away the layers of the reality they present you with. Once someone begins to confront this individual, they become irate, completely furious that someone would dare to question their word. They also exhibit characteristics such as a pattern of grandiosity and self-importance with a belief that they are special, a need for admiration and expectation of recognition for their superiority, fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love, and a lack of empathy such as being unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. The unimaginable horror of Lori's death was further compounded by the overwhelming question of why. Yes, Lori had caught Mark in his lies, but her family was certain that Lori would have been able to forgive him. Her brother even said of Mark, he didn't have to be a doctor, a president, whatever it was. As long as he was doing his best, she would have loved him. Still, a typewritten note was eventually found in the couple's spare bedroom. It's believed Lori wrote it, but it's unknown exactly when. In the letter she writes, I want to grow old with you, but I can't do it under these conditions. I can't imagine life with you if things don't change. Perhaps this was why Mark killed her, because Lori was threatening to leave him if he didn't change. A forensic psychologist, Dr. Kathy Yates, commented on Mark's possible motives and seemingly pathological lying, saying, as he grew up and was watching other family members get successful or be successful, he was not. There's an element of grandiosity. He felt like he deserved more than he was getting in life, but didn't want to put his energies into achieving the kinds of goals that he probably could have achieved. Mark was arrested on August 2nd, 2004 on the suspicion of aggravated murder. Even with this confession, there was one integral thing missing: Lori's body. The search headed to the Salt Lake City landfill. For months, there was no sign of her, even with intensive searches utilizing cadaver dogs. That is, until Lori's highly decomposed body was discovered on October 1st, almost 3 months after she'd gone missing. Due to the body's decomposed state, it couldn't be confirmed whether or not Lori was pregnant at the time of her death. Following this discovery, Mark Hacking was sentenced to 6 years for life in prison. If that short sentence gave you pause, it sounded too lenient to other people as well. However, at the time, this sentence fit the guidelines under Utah law. But due to public outcry, the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole held a hearing to reevaluate Mark's sentencing, and ultimately decided that he wouldn't be eligible for parole until 2035. Following this, the sentencing guidelines for aggravated murder was increased to 15 years to life, a law change that has been referred to as Lori's Law in her honor. Eventually, Lori's father had the last name Hacking taken off her headstone, leaving her maiden name Source. And though this case seems like it's over, from behind bars, Mark managed to carry on with his shocking behavior. He was caught signing and sending autographs for a site specializing in murder memorabilia. After this was uncovered, Mark agreed to stop, but he still wrote his life history, which has yet to be published.
Hi there. Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please.
What's your name? What happened?
My friends and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out last.
When a promising young student made a new friend on the internet, he was completely unaware of the fatal mistake he'd made. In the friendly town of Caterham in the Tanders district of Surrey, England, Barry Bednar and Lauren LaFave welcomed their first child. It was a healthy baby boy they named Breck, as a tribute to Breckenridge, Colorado, where the couple met and fell in love. 3 years later, the family grew even more when Lauren gave birth to triplets. Lauren recalled that Breck adored his siblings and spent a lot of time playing with them growing up. The warm-hearted big brother excelled in school and was popular among his peers. He was even a member of the Air Cadets with the 135 Squadron in Red Hill and regularly attended church services in his hometown. Everything seemed to be going great for a while, but then Barry and Lauren separated just 6 years after the triplets were born. While Barry moved out of the family home, he remained an active figure in his children's lives. However, there was something dark brewing under the surface of Breck's perfect exterior. Around his 14th birthday, Lauren started to notice some troubling changes in her eldest son. Namely, that he would isolate himself in his room and play computer games for hours on end. On top of that, his moods were wildly unpredictable, and he began neglecting the things he once found very important, like going to church and participating in sessions for the Army Training Corps. As her once vibrant and outgoing son became increasingly irritable and disobedient, Lauren knew she had to figure out what was going on. These are all classic symptoms of depression. He also had another key symptom of depression, irritability, which sometimes presents instead of the more commonly known symptoms of depressed mood or sadness. Irritability is found in the diagnostic criteria of depression for kids and adolescents, but not for adults. Then Breck started talking about an internet friend named Lewis. Lauren was familiar with the small number of friends involved in her son's gaming club, but had never heard of Lewis before. Call it mother's intuition, but Lauren just felt something was off about Lewis, even speculating that he might not be the young gamer he claimed to be online. Still, Breck's preoccupation with his new friend snowballed out of control, and before long, he was talking about him all the time, and becoming more withdrawn than ever. Lauren attempted to limit Breck's communication with Lewis, but he always found ways around her restrictions. So the uneasy mother felt she had no choice but to call the Surrey police and report her concerns. She explained to the responding operator that she thought her son was being groomed by an older predator, pretending to be a young boy. At the end of the call, the operator said that officers would check out Lewis, but unfortunately, that never happened, and the inquiry was closed just an hour later. On February 16, 2014, after a year of talking online, Breck finally planned a secret rendezvous with Lewis. It would be their first time meeting in person, and he was excited because Lewis had become his closest friend. Lewis had also promised Breck a bright future as the new owner of his multi-million-pound tech company. If only Breck knew the fatal mistake he was just about to make. The following day was the start of half-term, and because Breck was to be staying with his father Barry for the duration, he informed him that he'd be sleeping over at a friend's house on the night of the 16th. While Barry was happy to see his son out socializing instead of sitting in front of his computer, he had no idea that Breck actually planned to take a taxi and stay overnight more than 30 miles away in Grays. Barry waited for Breck to return home the next morning, but he never came, and after multiple calls and texts went unanswered, Barry called Lauren and told her what was going on. Yet just as the pair was formulating a plan, they were struck with every parent's worst nightmare. Breck's gaming club friends had started receiving horrific text messages containing images of a bloody corpse, who they quickly realized was Breck. The photos spread like wildfire, and it didn't take long for word to reach Breck's family, with some people even reaching out to his 12-year-old triplet siblings to ask if the photos were real. A short time later, Essex police got an eerie call they would never forget.
You're telling me he's definitely dead? Yes, I'm telling you he's definitely dead. Right, okay, Louise, I need you to take me back through that again. So what happened last night? Okay, he was in a mess. I tried again. Just slow down again, Louise, I need to take you. I had a headrest. In my room, adjacent to my bed, I had a chest of drawers. I had a penknife on there. opened it, and then lost control. I turned off the bedside table, breakfast thing, or in order to harm himself. No, in order to harm me. He opened it and then lost control. I, in self-defense, put my left arm up to block him from stabbing me effectively. We struggled. I got him to the ground. He got up. I got the knife. Can you not interrupt me with this part? I have one. Okay. It's being recorded anyway. Yeah. I grabbed a knife and I stabbed him once in the back of the neck. I believe somewhere near the brainstem. He turned around, tried to carry it on, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but the fight ended with me cutting his throat. I believe I turned around and I slashed his throat. He fell onto the bed face first. I was trying to compress the wound at that time. Lewis, are you still in the room where Brett is? No. Where are you? Don't interrupt me, just let me explain this. This is being recorded. I didn't know what to do. I don't remember what happened after that. All I know is I dropped the knife in my hallway, stood down and just sat in the shower. Right, you left the weapon in the hallway? Yeah. And spent how long sitting in the shower? I don't know. The police on their way, I can hear. They are. I'm going to go and do my part. Please, thank you for your help. Right, just listen.
Police were very suspicious of this strange account, and upon arriving at the scene, it was instantly clear that the brutal attack was one-sided, with zero evidence of an altercation. That's because they found Breck's lifeless body on the floor, with his ankles and wrists bound with duct tape. In addition, the 14-year-old boy had a massive laceration across his throat. Detectives found Breck's bloody clothes in a trash bag within the flat, and they also uncovered a pile of encrypted electronic equipment underwater in the sink. Lauren, who tragically learned of her son's senseless murder on her birthday, later stated in an interview,
I'm heartbroken and lost without my Breck, and I will never be the same. He was murdered on my birthday this year, and so much of me died as well.
So who was behind this ruthless attack? Well, it was none other than Lewis, and contrary to the initial beliefs, he really was a fellow young gamer. Now, allow me to shed a little light on this unsuspecting predator. Lewis Dames was a baby-faced 18-year-old unemployed computer engineer who spent most of his time playing online games. Investigators later determined that Lewis had complete control of the specific server used by the boys in Breck's gaming club, but apparently none of them really knew him. At 16, Lewis moved out of his family home and allegedly became very isolated from the outside world. Then he created an online persona that portrayed him as a multi-millionaire and started chatting with the younger boys. While they first respected his authority, Breck's other friends grew frustrated with Lewis over time, saying he would often mute them on the group chat and kick them out of games. However, they told detectives that Breck's allegiance to him intensified the more they tried to distance themselves from Lewis. Lewis displayed several psychopathic traits. He was charming, narcissistic, and he loved being in control. Muting the boys and kicking them off the games was one way he exerted his control. He was also highly intelligent, and his creation of a false persona about being a multimillionaire shows that he was a pathological liar. During the 911 call, he displays more psychopathic traits, such as when the 911 operator asks Lewis if his friend is definitely dead, and Lewis lets out a small laugh as he says yes. He has a very shallow affect, and at times is condescending, telling the operator on more than one occasion to not interrupt him. It's almost as if he is enjoying himself as he recounts the murder, and he shows no empathy for the suffering he's inflicted. And he is enjoying the power he has over the 911 operator when he tells her not to interrupt him. He even hangs up on the operator at the end, once again showing that he is in control of the situation. Lewis was arrested on the spot following the discovery of Breck's body and taken into custody. He contended that Breck's death was an accident, but his story had significant holes. As a result, his trial date was set for November 25, 2014. However, he surprisingly changed his plea and confessed to the killing during the pre-trial hearing. During this time, prosecutors commented on the brutality of the crime, noting the steps Lewis had taken before the murder, which included buying condoms, duct tape, and syringes. It's likely that Lewis chose Breck as his victim well in advance. He saw that Breck was vulnerable, and he took advantage of that situation. He likely gave Breck privileges and attention that he didn't give to the other boys, which made Breck feel special and therefore more loyal to him. Lewis was good-looking, charismatic, and he was idolized by Breck. He spent months earning Breck's trust, only to brutally kill him, achieving complete control. On January 12, 2015, Lewis Daines was handed a life sentence with a minimum term of 25 years in prison. Breck's mother said of the ruling, "No amount of years behind bars will ever change the poisonous attitude and actions of a psychotic animal who can behave this way." The Crown Prosecutor also spoke to the court, saying, "The degree of planning and manipulation by Daines is shocking, and when you consider the young ages of perpetrator and victim, it stands out as one of the most cruel, violent, and unusual cases we've dealt with." Lauren and Barry took legal action against both the Surrey and Essex police departments for neglecting their reports of possible grooming. Unfortunately, it didn't take long for the Independent Police Complaints Commission, IPCC, to discover that the responding operator was ill-equipped to handle such a call. Beyond not being connected with a specialist agency, police never ran a background check on Lewis Daines. If they had, they would have seen on his record that he'd been accused of assaulting another young boy in 2011. Desperate to prevent this from happening to another innocent family, Barry and Lauren established the Breck Foundation, which seeks to create a safe internet environment for minors. Their slogan urges gamers to play virtual, live real. The Bednar family may never recover from the tremendous loss, but they find a bit of solace in knowing their actions may help save another young life. And just like that, we're on to our second case. Oh, and you won't believe the surprising tool that cracks this viral case wide open. But let's start at the beginning, shall we? Haley Anderson was a 22-year-old nursing student at Binghamton University in New York. The shining fifth-year senior had many friends, and in one of her classes, she befriended another student named Orlando Tercero, a 23-year-old Nicaraguan native with dual citizenship. The two developed romantic feelings, but Haley made it clear that she wasn't interested in anything serious. Plus, she was already involved in an on-again, off-again relationship with her ex-boyfriend, Kevin Acampo. By all accounts, Haley just wanted to enjoy her freedom while in college, which included dating with no strings attached. Many reports state that Orlando simply couldn't accept the idea of her dating around. Haley's friends recall him being obsessed with her, with one of her roommates reporting that Orlando would frequently come by their off-campus apartment without invitation. She also said that Haley attempted to distance herself from Orlando, but her kind, trusting nature made it extremely difficult. Orlando's roommates spoke of their relationship, saying, "Sometimes they were bickering, and other times they would laugh hysterically, and other times they kept their distances and wouldn't see each other for a little bit." It all seemed harmless, but then, in September 2017, things took a threatening turn. Haley posted a Snapchat video showing that someone had slashed her car's tires. Kevin had been staying the night at her place, and not so coincidentally, Orlando had allegedly found out that he was dating Haley again the night before. Kevin said that he told Haley right away, it must be Orlando, and he wasn't the only one who felt that way. Many of Haley's friends and family felt Orlando was responsible for the vandalization, but he denied the accusations and even tried to pin it on Kevin. Haley's mom was outraged and encouraged her daughter to file a police report against Orlando. However, when Haley realized it would be a felony charge with up to $600 in fines, she decided against reporting the incident. Her mother believes that she didn't want to be the reason Orlando was removed from the nursing program. Orlando exhibited the following common signs of violence toward a partner: showing extreme jealousy and possessiveness by not accepting that Haley wanted to date around, destroying belongings, such as allegedly slashing her tires when she began dating her ex again, and unpredictability. He also exhibited stalker-like tendencies, and his violence escalated over time, starting with allegedly slashing her tires. Over the next few months, Haley kept Orlando at arm's reach, but she eventually let him back into her life again, a choice that would soon prove to be a fatal mistake. While we can only speculate why she did this, it's quite common for victims in these situations to return to their abuser. There was clearly something about Orlando's personality that drew Haley to him initially, But abusers are not abusive all the time. There are periods of time where the abuser can be quite charming and pleasant, which is something that makes the victim stay or draws them back in after they've left. Haley also didn't have solid proof that Orlando was the one who slashed her tires, so she may have rationalized to herself that he didn't deserve to be punished. From the way she's described, Haley was a very compassionate and empathetic person, which could be a factor in why she continued her friendship with Orlando despite the warning signs. On March 9, 2018, Haley failed to show up to a planned hangout at a local bar and was unreachable by phone. It was very unusual for her not to answer calls or texts, and her friends couldn't even track her on Snapchat. Now, instead of calling the police and having them do all of the work, Haley's two roommates, Josie Arden and Michelle Capaldi, took investigative matters into their own hands. While it can take days or even weeks for police to obtain cell phone records and narrow down ping locations, Haley's roommates simply opened the Find My Friend's iPhone app. But when they did, the young women were horrified by what they saw. Haley's phone was in Orlando's house. Unbeknownst to the two friends, Orlando's sister had already contacted police that day, requesting a welfare check at her brother's home. She said that he left her an ominous voicemail message, but no one answered the door when police arrived, so they left. That phone message could be a key in understanding Orlando's state of mind on that fateful day. Michelle and Josie sprang to action and made their way over to the house. When there was no answer at the door, Josie hoisted Michelle through an open window and then pulled herself inside. As soon as she got in, she heard Michelle scream, "Josie, call 911. Haley's pale, lifeless body was draped across the bed, and Orlando was nowhere in sight. Authorities descended on the scene and found Haley with apparent bruising to her arms and neck. An autopsy the following day concluded that she'd been strangled and listed her cause of death as asphyxiation by neck compression. Meanwhile, investigators were busy reviewing surveillance footage from outside Orlando's house, and at around 4 in the morning, they saw Haley willingly enter the residence. She was never caught on the tape again, but Orlando appeared several more times. Because she entered the house willingly, it's clear that Haley trusted Orlando, and he completely broke that trust. Receipts found inside the house showed that one of those times was during a trip to CVS, where he purchased over-the-counter sleep aids. Detectives also found evidence that suggested Orlando had attempted to take his own life, including a Spanish-written note reading, "I'm so sorry for this, Father. I will see you soon." Then he was seen walking out the front door one last time, carrying luggage. Police quickly realized that Orlando had boarded a plane more than 3 hours away at New York's JFK International Airport and flown back to Nicaragua. He was captured on airport cameras with some kind of large bandage around his head, possibly from attempting to take his life. It is possible that he did not actually want to die himself, which is why his attempt failed and he chose to run away instead. Another possibility is that he didn't have access to more lethal means, such as a gun. But his attempt at escape shows that Orlando knew what he did was wrong. Now police were dealt the grueling task of catching a fugitive on the run in another country, and some of them feared Orlando had just gotten away with murder. But then, 4 days later, Orlando's mother brought him to a local hospital to treat his head wound, and Nicaraguan authorities arrested him. He was charged with second-degree murder. But based on his dual citizenship status, it wasn't going to be easy to bring him back to the U.S. An existing treaty between the two countries stated that neither was required to extradite one of its own. So, much to the dismay of Haley's loved ones, Nicaragua declined to extradite Orlando. As a result, his overseas trial began on September 1st, 2019, and he was now being charged with femicide under Nicaraguan law. This charge doesn't exist in the U.S., but represents the murder of a woman romantically involved with the defendant. Prosecutors painted the picture of a scorned college boy who couldn't handle Haley's rejection and let jealousy take over. On the other hand, Orlando's defense claimed their client had experienced temporary insanity at the time of the murder. Orlando didn't have temporary insanity, as his defense claimed. He exhibited a clear pattern of jealousy and possessiveness when it came to Haley. It was too much for him to have Haley in his life, and possibly in his classes, but know that she would not fully commit to him. Orlando likely felt that if he couldn't have Haley to himself, then no one could, which ultimately led to him making the decision to kill her. Murder was his permanent solution to keep Haley away from everyone else. Once both sides rested their case, the judge took just 90 minutes to reach a verdict. guilty of femicide. Orlando was handed the maximum sentence of 30 years in a Nicaraguan prison. On February 4th, 2020, Orlando appeared in court once more to appeal his conviction, citing the need for another psychological evaluation, but the appeal was ultimately denied. As if it wasn't shocking enough that a fellow nursing student killed Haley, someone who's supposed to be dedicated to helping others, Orlando was also someone she trusted and defended. Haley's father mournfully stated of his beloved daughter, "She was a kind, compassionate person who always saw the good in people and wanted to become a nurse to help others." Haley Anderson was loved by so many, and the swift action taken by her roommates says it all. I mean, they located her body before the police using a popular networking app. Whoa, would you look at that? We made it to case number 3. Now, get ready, because this last one will have you questioning everyone. Our story begins in St. Augustine, Florida. 21-year-old Amy Blount, a senior at Flagler College, was out on the town at a place called St. George's Tavern with a group of friends. It was getting late, and Amy's roommate, Kelly Brockman, decided to call it a night. When she left, Kelly said Amy was still at the tavern with a boy she had a crush on, named Sean Nolan. Kelly fully expected Amy to be back at their dorm room the following morning, so she was surprised to find her bed empty when she woke up. It wasn't typical of Amy to stay out all night, but at first, Kelly just figured her friend simply got swept away in a budding romance. However, when Amy failed to attend her classes that day, Kelly reached out to Sean for some peace of mind, but what he told her only intensified her fears. According to Sean, he left the bar at around 2 in the morning with Amy to go for a walk along the coastline. He explained that everything was fine until they got into a fight while waiting for a taxi. When the cab finally arrived, Sean said he got in and headed home while Amy walked off into the darkness on her own. The young man claimed that was the last time he saw her. But Amy's friends weren't buying his story. Kelly would later state in an interview, "As much as Amy liked Sean, I thought Sean didn't seem like he was really too concerned, to be honest." Amy's disappearance was reported to the local police, and Kelly took on the grueling task of informing her parents. Naturally, Amy's friends and family got right to work, trying to retrace her steps and passing out posters with her bright face. Meanwhile, detectives brought Sean down to the station for an interview, and they were instantly put off when his story changed from what he had told Amy's friends. In this different account of events, Sean told police that Amy had suddenly vanished while he was using a payphone to call a taxi. So investigators tracked down the cab driver, but things only got more confusing when he told them that Sean had been asleep on a park bench when he arrived. The driver also ominously said there was no sign of Amy anywhere. Around 10 days after her disappearance, authorities posted a $10,000 reward for any information leading to Amy. Many tips came flooding in, but only one proved valuable, and it came from a man named Timothy Gatchell. He told investigators that he recognized Amy from the flyers and had seen her downtown on the night she vanished. But then, he said something truly chilling. He saw her get into an older model vehicle with 2 unknown people. While the shocking new information scared Amy's loved ones, her family was so grateful for the help that they actually called Timothy to thank him personally. Police started scouring the area for cars matching Timothy's description, but were getting nowhere. Then a gruesome break in the case came a few weeks later. On New Year's Day, 1991, a man walking his dog in a secluded area of St. Augustine saw something horrific within a pile of logs. It was human bones. Officers rushed to the scene and discovered the corpse of a young woman wrapped in a floral bedsheet and hidden in a shallow grave. The victim was wearing the same clothes described by Amy's friends as those she was wearing on that fateful night, and slashed holes suggested a horrific cause of death. Although police already suspected it to be Amy, dental records confirmed her identity, and an autopsy revealed she had been stabbed 5 times. The once vibrant student also displayed bruises on her head and shoulder, indicating some kind of violent struggle had taken place. Investigators turned their attention back to the site where the body was found, as it seemed like a place only someone local would know. They contacted the property owner and learned that he rented out 2 mobile homes on the land. As a side note, he mentioned that one of the tenants had been giving him some trouble, and when he told investigators the man's name, their jaws hit the floor. It was Timothy Gatchell. Timothy was a high school dropout who worked random jobs around town and struck many people as strange. Police actually had some suspicions of the Good Samaritan from the jump, but they were put to rest when he passed the polygraph test, although those tests are notoriously unreliable. You could call it police intuition, but there was just something that wasn't right about him, said one of the detectives working the case. Sparked by this new development in the case, authorities raced to Timothy's home and found everything from traces of blood and long hair that matched Amy's to a floral sheet matching the one located at the crime scene. That might have been enough, but they also noticed a small piece of paper containing a phone number alongside the name. Toby. Police called the number and spoke with Toby, who said he'd been out at the bars with Timothy Ryan and questioned and saw Amy. Toby was brought in for a formal interrogation, where he continued to tell them that he was driving when they saw Amy walking alone. Timothy told him to pull over so he could offer her a ride, and he did. According to Toby, Amy willingly got into the car, and they all headed back to Timothy's house. He alleged that Amy seemed uninterested in Timothy's advances towards her, but after going to the bathroom, he went back to his own house and didn't see either of them again that night. When Toby saw Amy's face all over town in the following weeks as a missing person, he confronted Timothy, who insisted he brought her back downtown later that night. He also said he saw her talking to two men in an older model car. So Toby, believing his friend Lee Secur's name, urged Timothy to contact the police and report what he witnessed. That was more than enough for the police, who quickly returned to Timothy's house and arrested him. He initially maintained his innocence, swearing he brought Amy back downtown using the property owner's truck after Toby left. Now, that might have been just peachy, but investigators had uncovered a major flaw in his story. The truck he claimed to have used was resting in the driveway with 3 flat tires. Since he had been caught in a lie, Timothy finally started talking about what really happened that night. He admitted to fighting with Amy, but then said he blacked out, and when he woke up, Amy was lying on the floor bleeding from multiple stab wounds. Timothy finished by telling detectives that he went outside and dug a hole, wrapped Amy in a sheet, and said a prayer as he carried her body out to the shallow grave. Timothy Gatchell was charged with first-degree murder, and his trial was set for July 1991. Instead, however, he pleaded guilty to avoid the electric chair and was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Amy's family was devastated to learn that the person who took her away was the same person they trusted to be helping them. "We hope someone will kill him in prison. We wanted him to die in the electric chair," Amy's sister stated.
Those idiots who whisper have broken them in a way that,
Well, I don't think you need to call them idiots, Puddington. Well, they are idiots for what they did. Well, come on, Puddington, you don't have to... you don't need to be rude about that. Just. Because everyone makes mistakes. Well, how does it? This doesn't seem like a mistake to me. I feel like they upset him on purpose. Why would they do that on purpose? Give me one good reason, Paddington. Well, honestly.
Where are you bleeding from? I'm not bleeding! Okay, well, honey, you have blood all over you. Do I? Yes, ma'am. I don't care what you did. I'm sorry about what I did. Just leave me alone. I'm not bothering you. You said you were gonna leave. If you give me another chance, you won't be sorry. I promise.
so what's your story about
Drop it! Get on the ground! No! Do not do it!
In January 2018, the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office in Montana receives a harrowing call reporting that an intruder has shot 2 women. What follows provides a rare glimpse into the mind of a killer, one who documented not only his deteriorating relationship with his wife, but his own downward spiral towards murder.
I'm sorry. I was so angry.
The The following is based on official police records, and some of the footage has never been seen before until now. At 9 a.m. on January 7th, 2018, the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office receives a distressing 911 call.
There's not much more to
Shot a roommate.
Though the call came into Gallatin, an officer from the Belgrade Police Department is dispatched to the scene. There he finds 32-year-old Audie Butler waiting for him. She is the owner of the home and the one to make the devastating discovery inside only moments earlier before running to her neighbors for help.
Where are we at?
No, we didn't deserve to.
What's going on?
I mean, I'm putting my foot down because this is going long enough. I mean, how much more damage are you going to be upset for? At this point, it's not going to go unless it shows a relationship between you and me. But really,
Okay, so you don't know if there's somebody else in the house? But I don't know. Okay.
With no idea what could be lurking inside, the officer waits for backup to arrive.
One apparent dead, one still alive. She said I ran out as soon as I saw her. I have no idea if there's still anybody else in there or not. So that's what we got.
Zoe doesn't want to do
She
anything.
said this is open. I didn't see any footprints in the snow leading up here.
That's what she said.
Ready? Yep. Number police! Police department! Anybody inside? Come out! I'm coming! Number police, show your hand! The doors on the left and right. Hello? Police! We shot you? I'm not gonna shoot you.
Lying in pools of blood on her bedroom floor is 32-year-old Ashley Van Hamert.
Ashley, what's going on? Who shot you? Oh, what happened? Who did? I'm the police, right here. I'm right here. Can you see me? I'm right here. Can you see me? No. Can you see anything? No. No? No. Okay. We're gonna help you, okay? We've got the medical people coming. Where do you hurt? You don't hurt anywhere? Where are you bleeding from? I'm not bleeding. Okay, well, how do you have blood all over you?
It's only
Yes, ma'am. I don't know what I do. Can you feel me touching your hand? Can you feel me touching your hand? Okay. Okay.
It's clear that Ashley is in urgent need of life-saving care, and so the officers decide to carry her down to the ambulance.
Well, honey, you gotta go. We're bleeding from somewhere. We gotta figure that out. Who's the most senior paramedic? I'm not sure. We have no idea. Yeah, she keeps looking this way. I don't see any obvious. You don't have a choice. We gotta get you up to the hospital. I'm not going to.
While Ashley is being examined inside the home, officers have made a horrific discovery in the room across from hers.
I got another person up here. I just want to make sure you don't touch anything else if we don't have to. Alright, let's back up. Thank you, sir.
It's determined that 35-year-old Lauren DeWise is beyond help. She has visible gunshot wounds to her head, shoulder, and torso. The events that led to such a violent end would be revealed in the most unlikely place. A series of self-recorded videos documenting a man unraveling and his rage culminating in an unthinkable act.
You have a wound in the shoulder. I do? Yes. Okay. This one? Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. We're thinking maybe gunshot wound. Yeah.
With Ashley in critical condition and on her way to the hospital, officers find Audie where she has been sheltering at her neighbor's house.
I don't know which one Ashley is.
Jesus.
The one that would be. The one on the right-hand side? Yes, ma'am. She's been transferred to the hospital. I don't know what's all happening, okay? Let me go grab my car out there so you don't have to walk on me. I'll grab there, guys. So I'll just hang tight with you, okay?
know. I'm so sorry. I don't think that's it. No, you did the right thing.
Audie had spent the night at a friend's, and when she returned home this morning, she found the back door was broken, and there were boot prints in the snow of her backyard. These boot prints would eventually play a critical role in unveiling the truth of what happened to Lauren and Ashley.
So who is he to you guys?
Someone needs to do
And that's
something.
the gal in the left-hand bedroom.
She needs to
And
do
what's his name?
She needs to take back what she said. Because
I
clearly,
think so, yes.
it's now on display.
Given Audie's assertion that 47-year-old Paul DeWise was the one to carry out the brutal attack on Ashley and his soon-to-be ex-wife Lauren, he's tracked down and detained as he heads home from church with his 3 children.
These are things that kill me, man. I can't read my hands.
He's taken into the Belgrade Police Department for questioning, and his children, who will have their own story to tell, are placed with Child and Family Services. Though Paul was informed he was being detained, he's only been given a few details about what's going on.
The investigator contacted me and asked me to bag your hands. What this means is I'm going to place these plastic newspaper bags over your hands just to make sure that nothing interferes with your hands, okay? So I need you to take your jacket off. I just put my hands on things. Yes, sir.
Just over a year earlier, in October 2017, Paul and Lauren DeWise had moved to Bozeman, Montana. Little did they know this decision would mark the beginning of the end of their relationship and Lauren's life. In one of his many self-recorded videos, Paul describes what sparked their move.
So my wife, she got a job at Rocky Mountain Bank in Plains, and she's great, and they loved her, and they promoted her to bank manager in Bozeman, even though she had no prior banking experience and she'd only been a teller for a year. There was a couple people on the board that hired her that were like, yeah, I don't think so, but they were overruled, and she's done an amazing job, and they love her, and she's going higher and higher, and it's unbelievable. She's in leadership Bozeman here, and now she's the number 1 bank manager for Rocky Mountain Bank in the whole state. Wow. Doing really good for herself, yeah. That's awesome. Doing awesome. So we're having a lot of fun. So we're very happy.
And from the outside, the DeWise family appeared perfectly normal and perfectly happy. Yet as Paul's recordings would eventually reveal, this was all a facade. Under scrutiny, there were signs of something far darker lurking below the surface.
My name's Justin, and that's the Belgrade Police Department. I had your hands bagged up all the time. It was ugly. So, basically, just so we can get things going here, what I'm going to do is ask for your permission. I just want to take a couple swabs of your hands to look for some gunshot residue. Okay? Is that something you'd be willing to, allow?
Paul's hands are swabbed, and he's read his Miranda rights.
What do you do for work? I'm just staying home dad for a while. Hardest job there is.
While Lauren worked full-time, Paul cared for their 4-year-old daughter, affectionately nicknamed Baby.
You can tell it's not working.
You goo baby. You're so sharp.
During the school year, Paul's 2 children from a previous marriage, 17-year-old Natalie and 15-year-old Joe, also lived with them in Montana.
And when you say your mom, your stepmom, right? Okay. I just need to go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Natalie. Happy birthday to you.
While Paul often captured wholesome and happy family moments, his recordings would take a troubling turn.
I'm going through transition right now, so. Yeah. So. we're kind of in transition. We're so pretty good. And in fact, she's supposed to see a baby today. So it's been tough.
Investigators would dive into the details of Paul and Lauren's separation soon. But for now, they finally address why they brought Paul in.
The reason that I wanted to talk to you is there were some issues that happened over at Lauren's house this morning. And I just kind of wanted to touch base with you to see if you're over there at all, if where you were this morning, that kind of thing. Someone broke into the back door of her place. Sure. Not really. She isn't. The person that came in ended up shooting her. So, she's dead? Yeah. So, oh my God. This is news to me. I don't know anything about it. Complete news, complete surprise. They told me when they took me they're investigating the homicide. I did not think there's some weird stuff's been happening since I've been close. So I'm like, geez, yeah. Everyone's hard. I understand this is very difficult. If let's say he's amazing, I didn't do it. We gotta look at it and say he's dead. I'm asking you to give us any information that you can about anything, whether it was you or not.
Paul explains that there's no way he can be involved, and he can prove it. He was home all day except for a single occasion.
Maybe I should think about. I went and got a 6-pack of beer on midnight at town hall.
The detectives don't have to take Paul's word for it. His children, Joe and Natalie, both tell investigators a similar story.
So they went and beer on midnight and kind of get back.
Surveillance footage from the town pump convenience store shows Paul entering the store to buy beer at 12:34. With his alibi established, Paul launches into a timeline of his deteriorating relationship with Lauren. What he may not realize is that he's also unknowingly narrating his own descent down a dark path.
And it started in July. She's going through a midlife crisis, and she's staying gone. She's coming home late and drunk.
It was around this time, about 6 months earlier, that Paul began recording his conversations with Lauren.
You're constantly going out with other people. You say you'll relate. You won't come home when you say you will. You avoid me every second you can. You stay away from me every second you can. You don't come around me at all unless you have to.
It's just like whenever she's home, everything's really tense and uncomfortable, even if I don't have the door anymore. It's just all of a sudden, as soon as I moved to Bozeman, she just completely changed.
During that time, Lauren was again coming home late and being kind of mean to us and never letting me have a baby. Totally about that. She just feels snappy about stuff whenever she did talk to us. Yeah. And she never really wanted anything out anymore. I don't want anything goes on in my house. Right?
You can say you've never seen me brush your teeth before.
Right, if I say that, I must not be paying attention.
It's not, because I brush your teeth all the time.
Right?
Right?
Does she brush your teeth all the time every day? No, she doesn't.
Yes, I do.
Does she brush your teeth all the time? No, she doesn't. You're playing nothing with me, and you're all about making yourself extra pretty in the morning, putting extra perfume on, and going off looking gorgeous every day, and you don't have time to come home to me. And you don't think about food for me. You say, oh, I brought you lunch. You brought me lunch. I asked you to bring me lunch. You've made supper 3 times since my kids came here, August 15th. 3 times you made it. The last time was tonight. Yeah, there was 2 other times. That's it. You won't get groceries for us, shop for us, everything you say, you won't do for us.
I made a turkey. I've made spaghetti. I've made steak. I have Joe made spaghetti, and guests came over and we had no noodles. You cooked some noodles.
I just need spaghetti.
That doesn't count as supper.
The other night, I just need spaghetti.
Right. I know, read that. Because I just live here.
No idea.
No.
We ate.
Yeah, I just live here.
Natalie came home late because she was home late with her.
Her teeth every day. And baby says you don't because she knows you brush your teeth. You did say that. It's on video. Yeah. Okay, I'll take an hour. I'll take an hour. Straight. I would love if you talk to me for an hour about my family. I would love if you talk to me an hour about me. I would love if you talk to me about her. I would love if you would spend 1 hour of your life in a 24-hour period talking about anything. But you won't do it. You have nothing to do with me. But I was like, well, she went through a phase, it's probably not then. I'm just, kind of like, whatever. And I really didn't get too concerned until we weren't getting along after her. No,
This knee injury occurred during a shocking altercation over the summer. Paul explains that he'd taken his and Lauren's daughter out for a walk along a nature trail. She'd stopped at a fence where 2 dogs were barking.
they were walking, and some lady got tired of dogs barking at us, and she turned them on us, and then the guy came out and attacked me, and like a bunch of his family members came out, and it was just really, it was intense. He tackled me, hurt my knee.
Paul's habit of recording meant that he captured some of this altercation on video. His footage picks up after he was tackled.
We just got attacked by these people's dogs. This is my baby. Baby, did you think that dog was gonna get you? I did too. And then this man attacked me behind the dog after this woman. Baby, I'm sorry. I withdrew my knife to defend myself against this man who took me down from a single-leg takedown. His last resort, when my back was on the floor, I struck up with the knife. I struck through him. And pulled the dog away. Now the dog's gone. You okay, baby? I'm so sorry. These people, they turned their dog out of the fence yard. It's now closed once again. But the woman came down, turned their dog out of that yard onto my daughter and myself. They threatened us when we tried to walk by. They threatened us and said, sir, obviously dogs don't like you. What are you doing here? But we were walking on the nature trail with my daughter. Sir? Right. It's all gonna come out, isn't it? And your dogs need to be put down, and you need to be run out of town. You came up and kicked me, sir. I did because you were aggressive towards me. Throwing your dog and trying to get my daughter. Well, how could I possibly kick you if you didn't rush me?
You know what?
You know exactly what you did.
You just stabbed me, sir.
Yeah, I did. Let's get out of here.
Are you crazy or what?
Wow. You guys get me out of here. I'm so glad you've been uncovered for what you are. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Oh, I'm very serious.
You come into my yard and
In here, I was on a trail right here.
I think that's what was going on. And you stabbed me?
Yeah, right. Keep walking, baby.
Serious, man?
Keep walking. You're doing good, baby. Just keep running. It's okay.
Don't run away from the situation here.
The dog's owners had in fact called the police, and it only takes a few moments for them to arrive.
Drop the knife!
I dropped it.
Get on the ground! No! Do not move!
It's okay, honey.
It's okay. Hold on the ground. Do not move.
It's okay, Evan. Hey, it's okay. You understand? Yes, sir, I understand. It's okay, baby. It's okay. It's okay, Doctor.
I got it.
It's okay.
Paul was handcuffed, giving everyone a moment to calm down. He was soon released, and both Paul and the dog's owner spoke to the police about the incident.
So our dogs were barking and we just never got that message. So we heard our dogs started barking and she went moving on. And unfortunately the dogs squeezed through the fence. And then he just threw his knife.
That's when the man ran, because I put a knife out on the dog, and I thought, well, I wouldn't use the knife on him to defend himself. Okay, and now we judge the mistake that he made. I'm not thinking like I'm so bad. is gonna, attack somebody, I'm thinking, I gotta save my baby. Right. The man Paul stabbed ended up needing 5 stitches in his arm. Following an investigation, police determined that since the incident occurred on a public trail, and the dog's owners first approached Paul, they believe he acted in self-defense. The man was issued citations for assault and an animal at large. Yet in text messages exchanged between Lauren and Paul, Lauren shared her frustration with him over his choice to engage with the dog's owners, writing, "You chose to talk back to her and make the dog an issue." The couple had already been struggling, but Paul's actions and resulting injury only escalated the growing tension between them.
Right now, she's just like punishing me, and I just have to because when I got my knee, I was really depressed, and it was a dark place, and she was really not that worried about it. She's like, she doesn't have me for her. Because I've had 2 big injuries with 2 big surgeries in the last 6 years, where she's had to take care of me.
Paul ended up tearing his ACL and had to get his meniscus replaced.
So when you go to the physical therapist, the doctors, if they tell you that you have to massage the area so that you'll get better, his thing was that you wanted her to do that for him, to help him.
And you look around my leg, and the doctor told you to do it. The doctor showed you how to do it, and you said you would do it, and you won't do it. And it's medically necessary, but you won't do it.
The world that I live in, humans have 2 hands, and it's normal for them to do a job with both hands, but you only use 1 hand. And I guess that in that world, I realize that it's because you just only walk around me.
She's one of them.
I don't know. How many times did I tell you I just went around my leg? All of a sudden I'm a bad guy because I only rub my leg so that I am not crippled. Don't worry, I won't ask you for something. I'm sorry I'm so loud.
During that time, that's when he really needed my mom to be there to support him. And really, because that was the time when my mom was never around.
Paul's knee wasn't the only source of stress on the couple. Another came in the form of a second strange incident. Though he had been renting an Airbnb room out of the couple's home, this had recently come to a dramatic end following an altercation with a guest.
We had an incident, and one was drunk. There was a guy at my house that was cutting safe deposit box keys because he had a book. It was like a treasure book that, this guy buried $1 million somewhere, so they were putting a chest somewhere, and he was convinced it was a local bank. Okay, I don't know what bank, and she got out her bank keys, and she showed him the keys, and I kept telling him, stop talking to this guy, She's doing her job. The guy got in my face and got aggressive with me, and he told the police to put a gun in his face, which I didn't do, but he told Airbnb as well.
Both Paul and Lauren provided statements to Airbnb to try and explain their side of the story.
Dave got off the couch to confront Paul about it, told him that he was being dumb and called him an idiot, and Paul went into the bedroom and then came back out with a weapon to defend himself and his family against this person that we don't know.
It's very exciting. I keep having flashes in my head of his face just appearing here. Can you tell me what I did with the pistol when I came out?
He just had it right here behind his back, like this. He didn't put it in anyone's face. He just had it to defend himself in case Dave decided to come at him. He had it to protect our family.
I'm not an unstable person or, I don't know. I wasn't at fault. This guy, he's not right. Did you feel like I was threatened by Dave?
Yes, Paul felt that he was threatened by Dave.
Did you feel like I was threatened by Dave?
Yes, I felt Paul felt he was threatened by Dave.
Did you think I was threatened?
Yes, I did. He stood up and confronted you, took 2 steps forward.
Regardless of their attempt to explain the situation, their Airbnb was canceled. This incident did nothing to quell the growing strain in the DeWise home.
We started getting worse after the kids got here in August, so I'd say by September.
straight on that. You go shopping for clothes, and I wear rags. And you didn't even know. Well, look what I buy. I bought the table, I bought the play set, I bought the scales, the popcorn maker, the microwave, I got the stand from, bought the pepper mill, I bought the spices, the mixer, the jars. I bought almost everything. You look around, I had bought almost everything. We're the big guy to buy that table. And yet I wear rags, I need shoes for years. What do you buy me? Nothing. Because you don't give a about me. And I'm the bad guy. And that's the thing. That's why I want to record it. Because it's crazy. It's insane. And the only way anybody will believe it is to see the video. Because you are so good at calming everybody. You're so sweet and so kind to everybody. Except for me in your house where you're comfortable. And you treat me like, and you call me names, and you constantly aggravate me, and you attack me, and you degrade me. Okay, so go ahead. Tell me how evil I am now. Because I accidentally turned off the camera.
Just leave me alone.
I'm not bothering you. You said you were going to leave.
Yet despite the animosity between them, it was around this point that Paul sent Lauren a message reading, "I am obsessed with you and our marriage, and that fact that you don't care is killing me."
I really appreciate that you said to our daughter that I don't care about her and that I will consistently hurt her feelings. I really appreciate the fact that you involved our daughter in our discussion. She didn't need to hear any of that. There was no need for you to say any of that, and you are seeing me. You have no right to tell our daughter that I don't care about her.
I'm sorry you didn't care about it.
You did.
No, I'm sorry you didn't care about her feelings. Because you don't care about her feelings. You're a parent. You're supposed to give her a bath.
It's time to take a bath.
Right.
We're back. Can I skip tonight?
Right.
Thank you.
Of course she did. It's easy for you. Right, yes, she does need a bath every night. Because she's a baby and she's in dirt and mud and sand every day. And she can get sick. And what you do to prevent, I'm not yelling. No, I'm not. And I'm recording this to prove I'm not yelling. And I'm cussing like I'm talking to you as a normal person to prove that I'm being normal with you because you're full of... I am trying to bathe my daughter because you refuse to care for her. It's disgusting, it's unhealthy, and it can lead to disease. But you, only you, think that's not true. Right, leave you alone. Right, because I'm bothering you. I'm bothering you by telling you facts.
So, as things were getting worse, was it ever a physical type of issue or something
Well,
pushing?
yeah, she pushed me or threw something at me.
Once again, Paul's children agree with him.
And the bottom of your feet are dirty. And you don't even wash the bottom of your goddamn feet. You don't wash yourself, and you go to bed filthy. Did you even take a bath today?
No.
Probably not. Of course you didn't. Why would you? Because, yeah, you would have been dirty. And that's gross. Normal people don't go to bed dirty. I'm leaving you alone. All I'm saying is it's gross. They go to bed dirty every night. It's disgusting. You just care about going to work, because the people that are most important in your life aren't your loved ones. They're the people you go to work for, which is why I think you're cheating on me. And if you're not cheating on me, you'll be cheating on me soon.
This accusation was a constant concern for Paul.
I know I've been accused of cheating on him all the time. This has been going on, I guess, for years. This has been a thing. Did she ever say she was cheating on him or not? No. Well, I'm pretty sure she told me no, that she had never cheated on him.
While this may have been true, an incident in November confirmed Paul's worst fears.
Did you ever actually catch her with somebody else?
Lauren had told Paul she was at a bar with some of her coworkers.
She's being nice to me, and it was weird because she was being very isolating and suspicious. And I went and waited there, and she came out. How do you know that she was in Chicago? Her phone. We both share locations on our phone.
Paul didn't go alone. brought his 15-year-old son. Joe explains that they watched Lauren get into her vehicle with another man.
He's like, okay, let me go with my friend. So he doesn't let me, she doesn't hang out with that dude. No. And then my dad pulls her off and tells the dude to get out of the car. And then the guy comes out, he's like, you're being hammered. I opened the door and I was like, what are you doing? And I was telling the guys, this is my wife. We have 3 kids. And I'm like, I pulled her out of the truck and she barely stand up, she was so drunk. And the guy came around and started attacking me. So I fought him off. And I fought him off over and over.
The other man eventually shared his recollection of events.
And I walked her out to her car, and her husband jumped me, claiming that I had had an affair with her, and that which is absolutely not true, and then actually come to find out, Lauren said that he was accusing her of having affairs with a handful of people. Did you and Lauren ever do anything physically together? No, we did not. Did you guys ever kiss? No. Did you guys ever have... No.
Despite this altercation, the man declined to press charges against Paul. Still, the incident led to an explosive fight in the DeWise home that night.
Did you guys continue to talk out? Are you only... Well, no, I didn't go and get in the house. Natalie was just freaking out about it.
Once again, Paul recorded this intense interaction.
This is really the change of the office now. Isn't that
Paul had taken Lauren's phone and was messaging the man she'd been in her car with. Pretending to be Lauren, Paul wrote things like, I told him if he says anything, I will say he hit me. He had never hit me, but that's how I control him. And I love my family. You took advantage of me because I was drunk. I feel guilty for wanting to and making him jealous and threatening him when he gets pissed at my bull. He's the best man I've ever known. Do you know he was airborne infantry? He was a wrestler and a boxer. He is a I love that.
Let's get the story straight. He doesn't want anybody to know how it's been going on. Your daddy is rationally? You're so far right now. You have no idea.
This recording would reveal much more, eventually coming back to haunt Paul. Following this incident, though, Lauren wrote Paul a letter saying, I do not deserve you. I am a very bad person. I ruin everything. You deserve someone way better than me.
You know, that was a turning point because that was the first time I started actually going to see if she was where she was. That had never happened before.
However, those around Lauren, including the second man Paul caught her with, say that even before this incident occurred, Paul would frequently check Lauren's location and show up at her work or other events.
Basically, doctor, we'd be going to events and he's walking into a building or something, and he's like, oh, there's my husband. Oh, there's my husband. And so, everything was in. He would drive by.
In fact, Paul's paranoia was so great that he put trackers in Lauren's vehicle. In text exchanged between Natalie and Joe, the two discuss a package that had arrived for their dad on December 20th, 2017. Inside, they found a GPS tracking device, which Joe had watched Paul install in Lauren's vehicle. This pattern of behavior would only escalate in the coming months, likely exacerbated by another incident.
It was the next day. I heard
Paul again brought his 15-year-old son with him, who reported part of the confrontation.
Don't you see it? It's like Mexico. Oh, it's Huntington.
Look, you're looking there.
Paul also recorded a short video of Lauren that evening.
It was an accident. I'm sorry.
This time, Paul's rage leaked out of the home and into the eye of the public, as Audie, Lauren's friend and roommate, told investigators.
You can post some secret balls and like past balls and whatever that they have like 10,000 members and then like some paragraphs and
In a Facebook post, Paul wrote that he had caught Lauren with 2 different men, and that when he asked her to move out, she didn't shed a tear, and that she is the best liar he has ever known. Mid-November, Lauren asked to move into Audie's house, where Ashley was also renting a room, leaving Natalie, Joe, and Baby with Paul. She had no idea the devastation that this choice would bring. While interviews are taking place, Ashley was flown to the University of Colorado Medical Center in Aurora, where it was reported that her condition was bleak. With Ashley's survival unclear, Audie discusses the night Lauren first moved in.
the next morning, she had 37 messages from him. And some of them were like, putting on the door, climbing over his door, and this is my house, Lauren. Like, did you actually ever say, no, this is not safe, it's not okay. And she said, no, we're not allowed to come back here, and she was very against hanging from down for so long because
Politically
she's still having how things go between November 16th and now. It was up and down. It was like basically, like at first I was angry and I was like glad she was home. And then, as I thought about it, it was very upsetting and I was like very upset. And I sent her a lot of good texts and stuff,
If Paul had been struggling prior to Lauren moving out, the separation sent him spiraling.
I'm driving and I'm crying. I don't want to go without you. I don't care what you did. I'm sorry about what I did. Just come home. And I love you. And it's not worse. They shouldn't care about you. And I died because of her. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I was so angry. I have a family,
Paul also sent Lauren videos of the children.
How do you feel like about them? I'm upset, I'm mad, I understand. It's overwhelming. I'm not feeling mad, I'm angry. I'm sad. What does? I have a new perspective now. You can, make dinner late, or you can not want to talk to me, or you can make baby cry, or I don't know, all the little tiny stupid that I would be critical about. I'm sorry, I wasn't more understanding. I just ask for craziness every day. Yeah, I'm looking at myself as I talk to you. I don't look very attractive anymore. I don't blame you for not being attracted to me. Good night, Lauren. I hope you sleep well. And maybe you can go with me tomorrow for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or whatever you want.
Though Lauren had already stopped sharing her location with Paul, he still continued to try and find her. On December 2nd at 3:29 a.m., a location services event was recorded on Paul's phone where he conducted a GPS fix from Apple Maps with a description, Lauren DeWise. No GPS position was recorded during this event. Even without her exact location, Paul still found her. In one video, he recorded the moment he spotted Lauren's vehicle in the distance.
Must be bad I got drunk on the highway. I'm assuming he's wasted. There it is, see, that's my truck.
I'll do silly dead sandbags. That's the top. Well, what do you go to jail? He's got a picture of the phone. Looks like he was stalking. Hold on. Can I stalking? Keeping an eye on I guess, however they know, I take pictures of cars in the driveway, license plates. Paul had taken photos of Audie's house, as well as Ashley's vehicle.
Maybe if my husband would ever decide to live in my friend's house. I don't know where he is. I do read,
Paul's stalking also extended beyond Lauren. There were photos that showed he had followed and was watching one of the men Lauren had been caught with. Paul also had screenshots of a GPS tracking unit near Audie's house, and his internet search history included multiple instances of him looking up Lauren DeWise and Audie, as well as how should I have picked up my dentist receptionist, 20 ways to make your wife fall in love with you, Monk's Bane, and revenge laws. Once Lauren had moved out, those around her revealed what she told them about hers and Paul's relationship.
Audie came up to me afterwards, said, "Can we talk?" I said, "Sure." And she started talking about this friend of hers that's been getting beat for the last 10 years. And I gave her my advice from the restraining order stamp and all this other stuff. And finally she lets me go and says, "It's Lauren. Paul's been beating her for the last 10 years. And after you have realization, you start realizing, oh, that's why Lauren came in a number of weeks ago and her arm looked like it was broken because she couldn't even use it because Bastard punched her so hard."
She had visible bruises on her arm, very visible bruises, and had a very personal conversation with Lauren. I was like, Lauren, it looked like hand marks. It looked like hand marks. And she's like, oh, no. And I was going out to my backyard, and I had tripped over the patio or some barrier and hit a sprinkler.
Oh, that was a black eye. It wasn't that she fell or whatever she said she did.
One of Paul and Lauren's neighbors claimed to have witnessed an incident that occurred before Lauren moved out.
And as I pulled home, I was looking up to the door, and he stood yelling at her. She's on the couch crying. Pulled out couch, probably kicked her out of the bedroom. And I was on the couch, she's crying, he's yelling at her. And then I was in my room, I'm covered out to the window, and I see him, he's like, he's throwing the couch in on her. As I was pulled out, he's holding her back in and just beating her, and basically beating her with it.
Earlier in this interview, Paul had discussed Lauren's allegations.
When she separated, she was screwing around me, and she decided to make it look like I was a bad guy. And she was saying that I was abusive, and she even told Natalie, I was abusive, and we're always there together. Like, it is not, she told me I turn knives at her, I've never thrown a knife at anybody. I wouldn't use the knife on him because myself. And the only judgment mistake that he made. But I've never witnessed that. I've never been around when that has ever happened.
Despite these denials, Paul's own recordings reveal a far more turbulent reality hidden behind the closed door of the DeWise home.
I will always remember this day. I will always remember what you did to us. To you?
Yeah, you destroyed your family.
I destroyed your family.
Yeah.
You did bully me. You. You killed me. You really got me. It's my fault. Please. Normal. Please. Hit me. And I couldn't stand it. And I couldn't handle it. Suffered for it, right? But did you do anything? No, I didn't. Because once you get hit so many times, once you experience that, you experience being hit for so many times, and you feel like you're a piece of, and you feel like you are just a piece of, you can be hit so many times, and you give in, and give in, and give in.
How did this work?
But I have a bruise on my arm that will never go away. I have bruises on my arm right now that will never go away. Did you see this?
Though he likely didn't intend to, Paul recorded himself responding to these allegations.
And then she hurt me, and I retaliated physically because my emotions and my words, my true feelings, didn't mean
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, brother. It's Chelsea, brother. Fix this. That's the thing.
This isn't the only time these recordings would catch far more than Paul anticipated. However, future revelations would be even more damning. The turbulence of their marriage persisted during their separation, with Paul continuing to record most of their interactions.
Let me show you how to divorce. You should just stand up for yourself. And you should divorce me then. And we have this conversation now. You've always been against me. And I'm glad to read you.
Despite this statement, Paul wrote Lauren a long letter apologizing and telling her that he needs, quote, the Lauren of my dreams. He also bombarded her with texts such as, I'm crazy now, great job, you're killing me, and you have pushed me over the edge. Unfortunately, no one knew how true this statement was, or just how close Paul was to going over the edge.
You want a divorce. That's what you want, Ron. I know it. I know that. What's stopping you?
Because it's on purpose.
Excuse me? I'm sorry that I ever said anything to you. Like, I said, I'll ruin your job. I was angry. I was upset.
I'll try. I'll try again. I'll try again. I hate you. But I love you.
Perhaps it was this hope that Lauren would eventually try again, which kept the full magnitude of Paul's rage in check.
Maybe she might forget her. Clearly she was I know that separation was kind of perfect. She would like it. I mean, she told me, she might come back with Maria. She's alright.
Though Lauren would occasionally take Baby to stay overnight with her at Audie's, she only returned to the house she once shared with Paul and the kids for brief visits over Christmas.
The activity book has stickers and it comes with pens and you can flip through the pages.
That's wonderful. Wonderful gift. From that mommy.
However, soon after Christmas, something changed, with it all coming to a head on their daughter's birthday on January 4th, just 2 days before Lauren's death.
She was upset at me because I was like, why don't you just come back, And she said, well, we're going to talk about something. I'm like, is it ended? I mean, why is it now, So you're not coming back. And you're not coming back? She said, no, right now.
Though he doesn't admit it, his children revealed that what Lauren actually said was far more unsettling for Paul.
It's never good enough for you, okay? I'm never coming back. Stop. Stop,
She said I'll never come back and I have my new life and
My dad was just like, will you please come back? He's like, no.
It's like he used to be.
then she's like, I don't need anything from you.
It seems that Lauren had made a plan, one that finally tipped Paul over the edge.
She invited us on Thursday. I'm calling, so we were going to go see a divorce attorney together.
For Paul, it was more than a relationship ending, but an obsession turning deadly. Yet to detectives, Paul insists that he had come to terms with Lauren's plans to move on.
Well, it certainly took the fact that we were splitting up. That's what happened. I started accepting it. I was like, okay, this is what it is,
Though the detectives know there's almost certainly more to the story, Paul has had enough.
You guys are holding hostage. I'm got my kids hostage. And I'm stuck here because I don't know where my kids are. And you won't tell me. And I don't appreciate it. I wish you would not do that.
I understand that. Like I said, you are not under arrest and you're free to go.
Paul is informed that the investigators will be conducting a forensic search of his house and car, and his children would not be returned to him yet. Instead, they would stay in the temporary custody of Child and Family Services.
Let me ask you this question. You just said, I know you guys think my dad killed my mom. But it's obvious. No, he didn't do it. I know he didn't do it.
With his alibi being backed up by both Joe and Natalie, Paul was released and his phone returned to him. Following his interrogation, Paul texted Joe, writing, "We all really need to talk when you come home. Something bad happened and the police think I did it. I didn't do it." Joe replied, "What? That's crazy. You would never." At the University of Colorado Medical Center, Ashley was fighting for her life. She had 2 gunshot wounds to her back, one a grazing wound and the other lodged in her chest cavity. She also had a wound to her right elbow. Along with her other injuries, Ashley had a gunshot wound to the back of her head, and the bullet lodged in her brain. She had also sustained a through-and-through perforating gunshot wound to her right shoulder, and it was believed that the bullet was lodged in her carotid. Surgeons surmised that if the bullet had not miraculously acted as a plug, Ashley would have died from exsanguination prior to Audie finding her. With so many devastating injuries, it was unclear if she would survive.
Yeah, I mean, he's got one covered at least.
It wasn't long before investigators once again contacted Paul.
Hello.
Hey, Paul. How are you?
Hanging in there. Best I can.
Yeah, hanging in there.
So you guys come with anything besides me at this point, or am I still?
You can just come down. I just want to visit with you. And,
No, I'm saying if you come up with any suspects besides me at this point, am I still it?
well, we can talk about that when you come down.
You know, my wife is gone.
Mm-hmm.
My kids are gone. My house is gone. My car is gone. I have no access to any resources, any of my belongings. I have nothing. I don't. My wife wouldn't approve of any of that either. So I want to talk to a lawyer. I'm not helping the investigation because I didn't do anything. And you're just investigating me.
Following Paul's refusal, Joe was asked to come in for a second interview. This time he was joined by his biological mother. As it would turn out, Joe held the key to revealing the true extent of Paul's depravity. No matter what Joe claims, the investigators already know he hasn't been honest so far.
Joe, tell the truth. Your prints. Your shoe prints. Those boot prints. Never know boot prints. Have no places.
Boot prints found outside Audie's house matched prints found at Paul's house exactly. Investigators didn't find the boots they were looking for, but Paul's habit of documenting everything had already given them photos of Joe wearing boots that matched both sets of prints. They also matched photos of Paul's boots to a second pair of prints at Audie's.
You swear? Oh, come on, son. Help me understand why you were there.
Under the mounting pressure, Joe finally cracks.
How are you going to come home? You don't think he was telling it? He just did it. Shh. Out of the blue. All that night.
Edward may have been an indication of what was to come. Paul's Netflix showed that on the evening of January 6th, 4 episodes of the show Murderous Affairs had been watched. Though this may not have helped his mental state, it seems messages exchanged between Paul and Lauren were the final tipping point. Paul texted Lauren asking, "Are we still meeting tomorrow?" And she replied, "What for?" Paul wrote back, "Do you still want to go to church with us tomorrow? Let me know whenever. I love you more than words can express. I love you so much and will do anything to help you."
Was he extra hurt that night?
After a few more messages from Paul, Lauren finally replied at 10:58 p.m. "No thank you, I would not like to go." This message may have been the final straw for Paul and the catalyst which brought him to the conclusion of his murderous downward spiral. Joe says Paul told him to leave his phone at home, and that he got a bad feeling when he realized they were approaching Audie's house. According to Lauren's friends, she had shared her fear that Paul may one day crack.
He told her that constantly. He has started on her, he has tried to kill her. He has said, I know Lyman told her lies.
In a twist Paul likely never saw coming, while recording his conversations with Lauren, he'd accidentally captured the evidence of some of these threats himself. In text to a friend, Paul also wrote, "This is the hardest thing I've ever experienced, and I've killed many people." In messages to Lauren, he wrote, "I'm a killer man. I love to kill." Audie said that on the night of her death, Lauren had made a comment to her.
And she actually said something to me like, I'm just so happy here, I feel safer than I felt in years.
Lauren couldn't have known that Paul was on his way to end her life. When they arrived at Audie's house, Paul told Joe, "As long as you do what I say, you'll be fine. You'll be okay." Paul put on a mask and gloves and gave Joe a mask and gloves to wear.
You say, so no, it's so nice. So now, so do it now. You have to go. So you're walking up to the house. And then, is he carrying anything? What's he carrying? He's carrying a pistol? Yeah.
Paul made Joe walk in front of him as they went through the backyard. He then kicked in the back door, pushed Joe inside, and began searching rooms. Audie later reported that she found her bedroom door open after leaving it closed, indicating that whoever had been in the home was looking for her.
I know that I don't like her. Yeah. I know that she's a bad influence. No, you did the right thing.
Joe tells the detective that he waited downstairs while Paul went up to the bedrooms.
Did you hear him? Yes. What'd you hear?
When Paul entered Lauren's room, Joe heard her gasp, and then Paul shot her multiple times.
I just need you to love me. I need love desperately. I've never been like this. I need you to love me. I need you to touch me. I need you to put a hand on me. I need someone to be okay. No, I don't. I wouldn't marry you forever. Yeah, you can't be too. Because you hurt me so bad, and I love you so much.
An autopsy determined that Lauren had 4 bullet wounds, 1 in the head, 1 in the shoulder, which then penetrated her right cheek, and 2 in the chest. Police noted there was gunpowder surrounding the wound to her right temple.
You're afraid for your dad? Your sisters?
Following the shooting, Paul then drove to the town pub and bought beer. This means that the image of him in the store captures the exact moments after he killed Lauren and shot Ashley. Paul then texted Lauren at 1:02 a.m. writing, "Please give us another chance." And again at 2:52 a.m., "Please, please, please come home. I miss you and love you so much." All of these messages were sent after he had killed her. Once they were home, Paul ordered Joe to give him his boots, put all his clothing in the washing machine, and to take a shower. He then left, taking Joe's boots with him. When he returned, Paul told Joe not to incriminate him, because you don't want to find out the consequences of that. It was determined that though Paul had forced Joe to join him, he was not involved in any way. As for the story Joe and Natalie had told detectives earlier, Paul had instructed both of his children on what to say. On the night of January 6th, Paul woke Natalie up and told her that he had killed Lauren and needed her cooperation. Natalie later testified to an unhealthy relationship with Paul because he had complete control over her decisions and her opinions, and had instilled fear into her. On January 11th, 2018, 5 days after Lauren and Ashley were shot, Paul DeWise was arrested. Miraculously, Ashley survived, though she suffered a stroke and is still dealing with the physical aftermath of her injuries. She has had to learn to live with only the use of her right arm, as she can no longer use her left. Paul has maintained his innocence, saying he was falsely accused. He eventually pled not guilty to 2 counts of deliberate homicide. Natalie and Joe returned to live with their mom, while their 4-year-old sister lives with Lauren's mom. Following his arrest, Natalie received a jail call from Paul. According to official documents, he asked her to convince Joe to turn himself in and confess to shooting Lauren and Ashley because Joe, quote, would only be in jail for a little while, and then he would get back out and life would be normal. Despite this last attempt to get away with murder, Paul DeWise was found guilty of the deliberate homicide of Lauren DeWise and guilty of the attempt to commit the deliberate homicide of Ashley Van Hamert. For both counts 1 and 2, he was sentenced to 100 years each. For both counts, Paul received an additional 10 years for the use of a firearm or dangerous weapon, resulting in a total sentence of 220 years in a Montana state prison.
Three doors down so you can't ignore it.
There's a little part of me that knows I didn't feel bad, but I can't feel anything for it.
I'm not gonna get a birthday or Christmas. I'm just all about my entire
Dude, I'm not even getting to work tomorrow.
Somebody's tired. I hunt you down like Tyrannosaurus.
On the afternoon of November 2nd, 2018, as the Volusia County officers respond to a 911 call about a burglary, little did they know they were actually stepping into the most disturbing case Volusia County had ever seen.
911, where's your emergency? I just got home, and my house is completely trashed. It looks like someone broke in the front door. How long have you been gone? I've been gone all school day. Are you there by yourself? Yeah. How old are you? 18. Can you just take a deep breath when I ask you 2 questions, okay? Okay. My mom's car, she went on, and she's not home. And she's supposed to go to work today, and I said, oh, I do, okay. Your mom's car is there any other way she ever get to work? Does she ever get a ride from anyone else? No, the car is on, turned on, and you're sure she is not there? I'm sure she was trying to put it in your door. I'm right here with you, okay? What's your name? Alright, my full name is Gregory Willoughby Money. Is there anybody that has made any threats to your mom or to you? No.
As the 911 operator is gathering information from 15-year-old Gregory, officers are arriving on the scene.
I copy that. Where's she work? She works in an architecture firm up in Orlando. Is she on this Saturday? No, till 6:30. Okay, you have to leave for work before you. She dropped me off. And she usually just heads back to some real house in the train with her bike and somebody else that real estate. My dad and my 2 step-siblings were there. My dad is on his trip to Seattle. He'll be back this afternoon at 6:30. And then the 2 step-siblings have their moms. Everything's gone. Except for the mountain TV on my wall, there's everything gone.
Hoping to gain some insight into this burglary, 2 officers take a walk through Gregory's house. To their horror and shock, the home had been trashed beyond recognition. Every part of the house has been rifled through. The bedroom's closets are emptied out and dumped all over the floor. In the kitchen, every single cabinet was open and rifled through, including those under the sink. Glass littered the floor of the kitchen as the burglars had taken it upon themselves to smash all the glassware.
It's weird. Why is there all this from up here still? There's a broken glass here.
house is more severe than a standard burglary, and the officers can't help but wonder if maybe these burglars had a personal vendetta against Gregory's mother Gail or his family, as the officers make preparations to take 15-year-old Gregory back to the station so he can be comfortable while they process the home. One of the neighbors approaches them.
Sister, I do have a key to their house, but I haven't been up here since yesterday evening, or actually when I was there. I talked to his parents. Okay. As I suppose from this morning. Has she had any issues with him lately? No, not that I know of.
While processing continues at the house, Gregory is taken to the station. Seeking comfort and support, he calls Ken Jones, his sponsor with the Police Explorers, a youth program that allows teens interested in law enforcement to learn the basics and help their local sheriff's office. Ken meets Gregory at the station, and the two sit down for a chat in the following never-before-seen footage. It's been analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed professional counselor, a licensed attorney, and a former detective, former licensed polygraph examiner, and former hostage negotiation commander and instructor. While Ken helps calm Gregory down, he notices some bruises on Gregory's face.
What happened here? I got in a fight yesterday with one of my friends. I didn't see any issues with him. And they, with a conversation with my friends, we got into a disagreement. But I solved the problem. I talked it out with him, and we made up, and he apologized for hitting me, and I accepted his apology, and then we hugged it out.
So this needs to stop. What? But I can't help it, Jack.
As if you would yourself. Don't be stupid. You really hurt him. Why would you do that? Oh, my ear. I can't move. Why would you do that? Hold on. You don't even know how to talk. You're an idiot. Look what you've done.
What time did you get out there?
You can't wait. This is on you, Pelican. You were the one that pushed me.
You're such an idiot, Paddington. Why did you do that?
Gregory worries about his mother, Gail.
I'm trying to make sure that you